Hello, Roy Mithril here once again, getting back to Mag Mammal 2, and it's time for the judge commentary on the top two stages in the contest, starting with second place, Entity 1037's The Stage Nobody Asked For. Snow and Pyro, you are the worst and I hate you. This is the worst stage ever made in the history of life, and I absolutely love it. The stage goes out of its way to pick the absolute worst of the worst gimmicks that everyone hates in Mega Man games, and does absolutely ridiculous and insane things with them. Like, honestly, this level speaks for itself. The absolute insanity that goes on in this level, what with the enemy spam, Yoku blocks, quick lasers, giant stretches of footholders, suicidal super bosses, etc., just makes the level overflow with charm and be extremely fun to play due to the excellent design gone into each and every gimmick. And there's probably one of the best, most dynamic and clever bosses I've ever seen in a video game period to top it all off. I'm trying to find a flaw in this stage, and I just can't. This stage literally has an up and down ambush and a forced death, and it's amazing because they're actually used cleverly to introduce gimmicks and basically troll the player. It's a hilarious and smart stage, and I just really love it. The only extremely small issue I have is that it's a bit too similar to Entity's Mega Man Endless stages, but I'm not going to judge it based on what other levels did. Huh. So, Entity's work is a bit too close to Entity's work. Just the funny kind of thing that can happen, I guess, when somebody has a signature style and the judges don't quite know who did what stage. Joopy Hornet. This was easily the most creative level in the entire contest. It was crazy. However, I honestly didn't really enjoy a lot of parts. The Yoku block puzzles were annoying and tedious, and the second one forced me through the wall a lot until I figured out what to do. It even killed me once. Wow, how'd that happen? The part with the red, white, and blue tile sets was clever, but aesthetically, it was probably the most disorienting thing I've ever seen. The footholder segment was pretty clever, but it took me a few deaths to get used to it. The boss was crazy, though. Normally I would complain about the boss having 3 health bars, but I can see why you put so many this time because of the sheer amount of attacks it has. Overall, I think it's pretty clear that you put a ton of effort into this level, but I personally didn't enjoy a lot of it. Angel. This level plays with the player's expectations in such a beautiful, calculated, and unpredictable way that I can't help but love it. The only issue I had with it is that it was sometimes hard to look at, but aside from that, this stage is excellent. Even when going back to it, I caught myself laughing at its surprises and smiling throughout my playthrough, even when messing up in a section or two. This is easily my favorite level from this contest just due to its sheer unpredictability and how little it takes itself seriously while still being really well designed. Kiriri. I really like this level. I admit that the very precise jumps in some areas, the tedious footholder section, and the confusing visuals at some places add up to the annoyances I had with this level, but otherwise it's very creative, fun to play through, and well designed, and all of these especially apply for the boss. Ultimately, it was an enjoyable experience. And A-Spark. Yoku blocks, quickman lasers, footholders, big eyes, tellies, spikes, or instant death everywhere, and a couple of bosses that are basically memes. This level is amazing, I'll say right now. The single reason why this stage is as good as it is, checkpoints. You basically take a stage where Mega Man's health bar is almost entirely irrelevant, and make the cost of dying barely a blip on the radar, a speed bump rather than a roadblock. Yes. The result is a seriously unique stage. Every challenge, be they dev kit asset or something cooked up, is new, deadly, but fair. It is also the only stage where I can go, an unavoidable death in my Mega Man? And frankly, that was the only way to introduce your stage's new gimmick. This moment is greeted by a, huh, cool, instead of a, what, why? The biggest drag on the stage is somewhat drawn-out vertical Yoku block segment. There were several gotcha moments when you reached the top, which graded by the third time you encountered one, and frankly, the rest of the stage makes up for it big time, and by the time you reach the footholders, you will have forgotten the segment had even existed. Can we talk footholders? Outside of the signature Robot Master, thinking back, this is downright my favorite segment of the level. It's clever, it's dangerous, it makes sense. And you made them jerks. The final thing to note about this stage is the boss fights. Meme Lords they may be, they're pretty great, although I am not sold on Meme Lord II having death spikes in the battle, but it also makes perfect sense given a few aspects of the fight, so I'll let you off. Your signature Robot Master is one of the most unique boss fights I've encountered in a Mega Man game. He justifies his multiple health bars with several phases, and is nearly always open to damage. Smart. Your other Meme Lord, he's good too, if a bit too healthy. The end's in the best way ever, though. Not quite sure what you mean by that. Reading over these comments, I'm wondering if there was something about the Pharaoh Man fight that I missed. Like, things like Suicidal Super Boss, and that the spikes being in that fight makes sense. is there some way that I'm supposed to force him onto the spikes or something? If so, I'm really not sure how you'd do that. But yeah, that fight... To me, the Pharaoh Man fight was kind of the low point of the stage, but the main path was amazing. And yeah, the forced death, it was disorienting, but it taught the gimmick really fast, and in two main ways. By having you die on the red platforms, it teaches you red is bad, and by respawning you directly onto blue spikes, it tells you that even if they're spikes, blue terrain is fine to walk on. That was very cleverly done. So overall, yeah, main path of this stage, really good. Subpath, a bit less so, but it was still okay for what it was, but that Pharaoh Man fight, that was a thing. Still overall, really good. And then finally, first place, Shinryu's Identity Crisis. Snow and Pyro. It's really on the long side, but man is this amazing. The concept alone is really neat, and then it goes and just makes extremely creative setups using only half the weapons in the engine. It makes for an honestly fantastic level. There's so many setups in this level that I absolutely adore, like the Dokron Hornet Chaser barriers, the Ringman Platform Wheel Cutter sections, and like freaking all of the Jewel and Bright sections. So much of the level is just super clever, and then after the 4 really cool sections, you get an awesome final section that ties everything together and combines the characters in really cool ways. I love the Hornet Bright Crusher setup, it's really creative, and there's a pretty neat extra boss fight at the end. The level is just super great and I love it. Honestly though, the length kinda brings it down. It takes really long to get through on your first playthrough, let alone any subsequent ones, but honestly, I didn't really mind playing it again because it's just such a blast to play through. It does kinda lose its luster, so to speak, on second playthroughs though. I still really love it though. Less than 3! Joopy Hornet. I want you to know that you were very close to getting a perfect score from me, but I somehow got the secret boss to disappear. Wait, what? I think it was my fault though. Still, this is such an amazing level. All of the playables look so good and clearly had effort put into them. I can finally play as Hornet Man. And you showed that you really know how to use and design around their weapons. The Bright Man sections were especially good because you thought about how the Flash Stopper would freeze everything, so you made enemies that only attack when you use Flash Stopper. Genius. Absolutely genius. I won't be surprised in the slightest if this level wins. Joopy Hornet is psychic! Angel. 4 great stages in one, followed by a finale that I found to be somewhat lackluster. This level does a great job at making use of the 4 weapons it's centered around, and I'm a fan of the variety of challenges provided in the level's first 4 halves, but I feel like that's where it could have ended and nothing of value would have been lost. Alternatively, all those segments could have been shortened, compacted, and the final section could have incorporated the omitted aspects while putting them in the context of challenges that require multiple Robot Masters to solve, which is something I wish it did more. The final section has, in my eyes, so much wasted potential that it could have almost entirely been put into the previous 4 sections without big changes. The combined powers of Robot Masters are used once or twice in total, while the rest of the challenges don't really expand upon what has been laid out in the Robot Master introduction segment. I ended up getting pretty bored during the final section of the level because of that, combined with the fact that the level goes out of its way to interrupt its own flow between segments, making me painfully aware of its length during the first half and making the rest of the level just feel like a drag. Gariri. Wow. Just wow. This level is almost flawless. The level design contains virtually no cases of poor level design with the exception of very minor annoyances. The ideas behind the level in general are really awesome and original, and overall the level looks and plays great. I'd say that maybe there are a few moments where the level gets a little boring, but that's not a huge issue. I'm seriously impressed by the effort put into this level. And Ace Spark. Under normal circumstances, I'd be trying to come up with faults for the stage, areas that bothered me, and there is only one. The boss should not have been made optional, because nothing about him hints that he is too hard for the average player, because frankly, he isn't, and it would have ended a traditional run of the stage on a much higher note. He isn't not present though, so I'm counting this as a nitpick. That is about it. This was stunning. Not only were the dev kit assets used well, they were used creatively. This is not just a solid stage, it's creative, and manages to create a very good balance between minor puzzle elements, precision platforming, and timing. It would appear there is a right way to do forced weapon usage after all. You could have gone with just using Mega Man's graphics there, but you didn't. You went above and beyond. Fantastic stage. Honestly, this stage was really amazing. I loved getting to play as the Robot Masters. I kinda wish they had a little bit more that they could have each done that was unique to them beyond just basically being infinite usage of one Robot Master weapon, but still, it's a detail that I loved. I thought that was really awesome. And a very creative stage. I kind of like that it ramps things up by getting you used to playing as each Robot Master, and then combines everything toward the end. That was really cool. And it's the kind of thing, like I said, I love and powered up how you get to play as each of the Robot Masters. I love that that was a feature that was added to the fan game Mega Man Rock Force. So, I'm always a sucker for getting to play as extra Robot Masters. That's just always cool to me. And so, I love that aesthetic here. The stage maybe was a bit on the long side, but it's one of those that didn't feel long to me, just because of how engaged it kept me the whole way through. So, this was pretty awesome. I loved this stage. And with that, I think we have also defeated the toughest Robot Master of them all, Judge Commentary Man. Seriously, who makes a boss with 81 health bars? I mean, come on, man. But anyway, that's where we're going to call it for now. We're still not done with this, though. We definitely have plenty more to do. So with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series so far, and I shall see you again next time. Until then, fare thee well.